What's up guys, it's me Jeremy. I've always been a player that has fairly poor last hitting, and it's really hurt my ability to transition from support to other roles. So I sat down, did my best, and practiced hard for 10 hours straight. And I'm here to give you my tips and what I learned from the experience. Let me know if you like this kind of series, and comment what kind of mechanic you might like to see me practice next. Anyways, let's get started. First things first, let's go over what I did exactly. I had a series of 5 drills that I worked my way through, all of which were designed to improve my CSing, aka last hitting minions, at a certain aspect of the game. All of the drills involved me CSing for the first 5 minutes of a game, and repeating that drill until I could get 95% or more of the CS, which in this case would be 36 CS or more, with a maximum at 38, after finishing the last wave cutoff at 5 minutes. You could also do it to 10 minutes, and I did try that, but almost all of the CS I was missing in my 10-minute runs happened to be in the first 5 minutes, so I decided to focus on practicing that. And throughout my 10 hours, I actually did not finish my whole practice regiment, which goes to show how tough CSing as a mechanic really is. But it was mostly because the 5th and final drill that I have was extremely long and fairly difficult. The first drill I did was to CS using pretty much any means necessary, except for ultimates and summoner spells. This was to get used to CSing by myself, and to build a base to work off of for the other drills. And it actually kind of took me a while, since when I started, I was only able to get about 24 out of 38 CS or so, which is actually around 60%. Yeah, it was pretty bad, and so it took me about 2 hours to finally pass this drill. The next drill is to CS as normal, but you have to be constantly moving, and you have to look at your minimap every 10 seconds or so. This is so you can get used to CSing in a laning phase environment, and can start to position well while CSing and having good map awareness. It only took me about half an hour to beat this drill actually, because the foundation from the first drill made it fairly easy, since it was kind of something I was already doing somewhat naturally during my time in the previous drill. The third drill I did was to CS while moving and looking at the map, but to alternate each creep wave between pushing and freezing. So the first wave I would push super hard, and then the next wave I would push as little as possible, and then the next wave I would push hard again, and so on and so forth. This is so that you can get used to controlling the creep wave and being able to push without missing CS, as well as to get used to stop pushing if needed. I had a lot of trouble with this drill actually, since it was a bit different to CS while pushing in lane, and the alternating patterns made it kind of difficult, and so it did take me another 2 hours or so to pass this drill. Next up was to do the same, but to add a bot to your lane. This is to simulate a lane environment, but because bots tend to be bad at the game, you're not allowed to force them out of lane. You can harass and trade with them, but you can't get them below 50% HP or so. This drill was actually kind of big for me, since although it took me a while, it made me realize that I was missing a lot of CS due to the fact that I kept trying to harass the bot at improper times. And once I played a little bit more passive, I was able to CS a lot better and finally pass the drill. And overall, it's really good to get used to going for trades when you aren't going to miss CS, and this drill helped me a lot with that. And the 5th and final drill is to go back and do drills 1 through 4 again, but to remove all of your runes, masteries, and items. This drill I did not pass since it is pretty long, but it proved to be really challenging actually, and I was only able to consistently get 90% of the CS or so, instead of the desired 95%. But I only had about 4 hours left or so by the time I got to it, so with another day of practice I'm sure I could pass it. Being able to CS with no runes, masteries, or items is not really as applicable as doing it with your full setup, but the process really helps you understand things like creep attacks and how to CS without pushing, and it also helps you translate the CSing skill in general to other champions really well. And as for my results, before the drills, I was only able to consistently get 60 to 65% of the CS in a lane, which is honestly terrible, but after my 10 hours, I was able to get 95% of the CS occasionally, 90% of the CS somewhat consistently, and definitely 85% of the CS in a lane very consistently, which I guess is kind of decent. So overall my CSing improved by about 20% or so worth of creeps overall, which is a pretty significant improvement if you consider that's about 20 creeps or 400 gold or so by just 10 minutes into a game. So the practice session has really given me some pretty sweet results, and I'm satisfied with it for sure, and I think it was definitely worth it. However, 10 hours is a long time to sit down and practice something, so even though I think it was definitely worth it for me, if you're a little bit more strapped for time, I recommend doing the second drill if you're truly abysmal at CSing, or the third or fourth drill if you're already kind of okay at it. Those drills are where you can learn the most in the smallest amount of time, and if you need to improve your CSing, I recommend practicing the way I did, as I think it helped a lot and has made me a lot better at that mechanic. And the best part is that since it's a mechanical skill, after you get good at it, you're pretty much never really going to forget it, since you'll always have the foundation to be good at it. One thing that I did notice in my closing thoughts was that even though I practiced this mechanic for 10 hours straight, I'm still not super good at it. I'm definitely not as good at CSing as I could be, and 85% is really not that great if you're in a super high ranking. So it really gives me respect for the mechanics that high ranking players have, and kind of shows the steps that you truly need to take to get there. Anyways, that's really going